Hello, everybody. It's Friday, and that means it's time for another topic of the week. And this week is an unusual topic of the week, as one, we're doing it live, although you might not be watching it live, but that's okay. But we're doing it live. And two, I'm not doing this topic alone. Joining me this week is my co-host for Warhammer Weekly, Mr. Tom Lyons. Tom, how you doing?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Yeah. It's going great, Tom. Since they can't answer you, I'm not sure if you know how YouTube works, but they can't.
I don't actually. Yeah, my proliferation of videos clearly.
Sure. Well, that's all right. You're from the talk. You might have one in the clip here soon. So excited for that. But this week, for this topic of the week, it was inspired by Mr. John Talby, our friend in New Zealand, who sent me a note about wargaming as therapy. And I thought that was a pretty awesome topic of the week because I know for me personally, hobbying and painting is certainly something I do to relax and it keeps me even and all of that. But as I thought about that, I realized that I honestly don't have much of a right to speak on this. And I think the reality is we can get caught up in when we're arguing over games and what we like and what we don't like. Obviously, this is just a game, of course, and I say that a lot, but it can also be a much deeper experience, especially when it comes to the hobbying element of it. And I think there is a richer experience there that we all share regardless of the game we play. And as I thought about that, I thought I need Tom for this because I don't have the right to tell his story. And so I wanted to do it this way. So Tom, I think I'm just going to pass it over to you and let you tell this story in the way that you want to. So take it away, sir.
Yeah, so some of you guys have heard this story before, and so Vince and I were talking about the idea that just the role of hobbying and painting and wargaming is kind of therapy. And again, this may be boring to some, but it's my story, and you're listening now, so suck it. So for me, I had started painting a couple years, actually just over 2 years ago, and I had kind of been dinking around, and it was nothing serious. And but something serious did happen. I lost my son. He passed away at 3 months, and it was actually kind of in the midst of this that I was starting to discover, as I'd mentioned, painting. And for me, I ended up diving into painting, and it became kind of this cathartic thing that I would do each evening after the rest of our kids are in bed and my wife is in bed, and I would stay up for an hour or 2 hours each night. My paint collection does not attest to this, but I would stay up for an hour or 2 hours each night, and I would paint. And it was something that it was a huge stress reliever, and I didn't really understand it at the time. It's funny, since then, I've seen a bunch of studies about like adult coloring books and how like the whole coloring experience can be a stress reliever. And it's funny because that's how I paint my miniatures. Normally it's like, this is this color, this is this color. I do that, wash it, highlight, done. So it's more like coloring out of a coloring book than actual painting, like the rest of you guys do. But it's been this very cathartic experience. And it's been something that I've been able to kind of decompress each night. And it's something that I've ended up sticking with. I mean, we're 2 years out now at this point. And I have devoted an hour or two to painting each night for most nights. Obviously, I don't do it every night, but for quite a bit. And it's something that when it's not there, I definitely miss it. And it's something that it's a way for me in the evenings to collect my thoughts and just kind of recoup myself and quiet myself before I head to bed. And so, yeah, it's been good. It's been something that that I definitely see the how I've benefited from it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the adult coloring book thing, and it's funny how big that's taken off. I think my wife is keeping a lot of those companies in business because she is certainly, there's like a stack of those that are 8 miles high in my living room. So which is on one hand good because that means she can't decry my hobby, right? She's got these giant cases of like every color of marker under the sun. So when I buy more paints, she doesn't have a leg to stand on, right? And so I get it. And she certainly uses that as a stress relief. Like, no doubt about it. She's very open about it. Like, that's one of the ways she decompresses. And that's one of the ways that she, focuses herself, more or less exactly what you said. And I think for me, it's all of that I didn't. I am fortunate enough to have not experienced anything like that tragedy that you did, and that's, I wouldn't want that. To, obviously, no one would. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. That's not a great way to start a hobby. But I think it's good that this was here, and that I happen to be getting into it a lot at the same time, right? And so we kind of got to go on this journey together into this painting, and then later into YouTube and all of this, and it's grown into this larger hobby thing. And I think that wargaming, other people shared similar stories, and I think it really is true, because not only does it give you that centering, right? It's relaxing to do it. I think there's a sort of predictability to it, but you can also push yourself. It's also the community aspect to it, right? That you get to share this thing you do with other people, and which is always good and cathartic to be amongst like-minded people talking about something you enjoy. And maybe even deeper than that, you also get to experience like the joy of creativity, right? That you made something. This thing is yours now. You did it. There is no other one like it exactly in the world. And so it just, to me, all of that is why hobbying as therapy, wargaming as therapy, is so beneficial. I'm sure there are people who treat the game itself like that, but I honestly don't know that the game could even be like, it's a short stress relief. I love playing. It's fun to get together with your friends and all that. And that's certainly there. But the reality is, I think I could probably play 10 games with my friends and get the same experience, right?
I don't know. I mean, like for me, when I play, I'm hyper competitive. So like I transition into a different mindset when I play, and it's not restful at all. And
Right.
It's not that it's not fun, but it is engaging all of my strategy and all of my tactical stuff. And so I'm calculating a bunch of different variables. I'm not thinking about resting. Where I can like empty myself when I'm painting. So for me, it's a very different experience. That said, I also don't paint like 12 hours a day. If I pay, if I was painting like other people, possibly in this conversation, I can imagine that painting might function differently for me, but it doesn't.
Sure. So I don't think we want to go super long on this, but I wanted to share. Like, I wanted Tom to share his story, because I think it is impactful, and I think it is meaningful, and I think it shows that the hobby has value. There are those out there in the world who don't understand what we do or why we do it, or think we're nerds. Like, the reality is nerdiness has become in vogue, right? But we still are on the fringes. We war gamers are still on the fringes. Like, I mean, look, it's fun to read comic books and like superheroes and like Star Wars, and that's all fine. But playing with little plastic men is still, it's still out there. It's when my wife brings people over and they come down in the basement to meet me, because of course this is where I live, basically in this chair. They like walk in, and I love to watch the look on their face of like, are they going to be on the level or not? And most of the time, because they're just normies, they come in and they're like, oh, your husband's a weirdo. And I'm like, yes, hi, I'm the weirdo that lives in the basement. How you doing? Nice to meet you. But but this, I think, is the value. Like, to me, there's nothing weird or strange or anything we should be ashamed of, certainly, with the hobby, because it is a deep and meaningful experience for a lot of people. And I think that that's a great topic of the week. So what I would encourage people to do for this topic is share your stories of what wargaming, of what the hobby has meant to you in your life. I'm certainly not asking people to share their tragic stories. Don't share anything you're not comfortable with or anything like that. I'm not trying to get people to air out the worst aspects of their life. But if you feel like you've got something you want to share, or if the hobby has been especially meaningful to you, I think it is valuable to talk about it, to get it out there in the community, so that we can all understand together that, and perhaps even be more confident that, like I said, this hobby that we engage in is something very valuable and meaningful, and something we should be proud of. So yeah. put it in the comments below. Make your own videos. As always, I will link all the video responses down below for this topic. There we go. Tom, any final thoughts before we close out this this quick topic of the week here?
No, I look forward to people's responses.
Absolutely. As do I. As always, everyone, thank you for watching. Thanks to all the contributors of the people who make responses to this, who comment. It is always great, and I fully expect this one to be another awesome one. So thank you all very much. We'll see you next time.